everyone. This is Dominic Copeland, and this is the Ish That Needs to Be Said. Today is that day. We are the ones. Let's go get it. Let's have some fun. Today I'm talking NCAA Final Four basketball, especially women's basketball. So let's rock and roll. Let's go. Woo! So have any of you been watching these wonderful and amazing games? I've always watched the women's basketball game since I was a kid. So back when the WNBA first got started, watching Cynthia Cooper, Swoops and Coops, watching Don Staley and so many of these other wonderful, Rebecca Lobo, who was probably in Connecticut at that time, playing at UConn, and watching all these wonderful, amazing athletes. Because I always admired how structured, how fluid the women's game was. And it just seemed more technically defined than the men's game. But I always loved watching the men's game as well. So, but I appreciated both. And not everyone does that or can do that, but I think that you should. And if you haven't been watching, especially this year, you've been missing out. Because there's been some absolutely phenomenal games that have been happening in the women's sport of basketball for college level NCAA. So if you haven't been watching, tune in. The Final Four is going to be coming up soon. It's going to feature some premier matchups. And we got one of them, Caitlin Clark, is going to be in the building doing what she does. Now, having said that, I have to move over a little bit into a different lane when it comes to the women's game and NCAA, just because of the media coverage of it, which hasn't really changed over the years, from Don Imus and the nonsense that he was talking about to the latest game between LSU and Iowa. So LSU and Iowa. So you had Caitlin Clark out there doing what she does. And there was an article that came out beforehand about LSU and Kim Mulkey and some of the players on the team. And it was the same old stuff about race and so forth. And look, you get tired of hearing about it. I get tired of living it. I get tired of having to hear this nonsense and go through it day in and day out. So I wish people out there would just stop freaking talking about it as far as voicing their racist opinions. Could you do that for me? Just stop voicing your racist opinions constantly and continually over an amazing basketball game that we all got to watch and be privy to, but you have to bring your racist annotations into it constantly, to such a degree where you said it's a matter of good versus evil. Good versus evil. Are you freaking kidding me? It's a basketball game. It's a basketball game. Who's good? Who's evil? They're basketball players. Nobody's out there going to war. That's not the Crusades. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. The stories that we have to hear and continue to hear time and time again. Such a degree they call these, the Iowa team, these are the debutantes. I don't know if it's the Iowa team or if it's the team that LSU had last played. They were talking about, these are beautiful, amazing debutantes, like the belles of the South. And what you don't understand about what they're saying is, throughout history, when it comes to racism, one of its greatest justifications has been the sanctity and the virgin guile of white women that needs to be protected from the darkness of these Negroes that seek to corrupt, to regale the sanctity of our women. You go back and you watch some of the movies that are geared towards racism, one of the biggest themes is being able to do these unconscionable acts, but they must be done to protect these women. Emmett Till, young teenage boy, beat to death, brutalized, because they said he gave a wolf howl to a white woman. I don't even know what a wolf howl is. It's ridiculous. He gave a wolf howl, so they had to put an animal element into it. Oh, he was like an animal. He was a wolf that was coming to devour our secret, sacred, beautiful. It's ridiculous, everyone. It's absolutely ridiculous. Enough is enough. It's beyond enough is enough. All right, it's beyond enough is enough. And they're putting all these connotations into these articles that they're publishing while these young women are trying to put on one of the greatest shows on earth for us. Helping to distract, helping to demean, helping to belittle. Because let's go back to the debutante thing. So these debutantes, the debutantes of the ball, who are beautiful, who are to be cherished, who will be looked up to, and it called the other team, that LSU team, dirty debutantes. Call them dirty debutantes. Now, other people have said, if you don't know what that means, go Google it and see what comes up. I know what comes up. I was once young in college. There's a whole series of these dirty debutante movies. They're X-rated. So calling them dirty debutantes is really below the belt. You're calling them, what, sex workers? You're calling them prostitutes? I mean, what are we doing here? It's a basketball game. We got good versus evil. We got debutantes versus dirty debutantes. We got our women need to be saved against this darkness. This is ridiculous. We should all be ashamed for anything like this to ever even be thought of coming out. It's 2024, and I know everyone always says, oh, they probably said the same. It's 1964 now. It's 2020. It's 2024. It's 1996. How can these things still be coming out? To this point, we can't be disgusted that they keep coming out. We just need to take action to stop them from coming out and to deal with the people who put them out. We can't sit there and say it's enough for them to apologize. The hell with your apology. You know exactly what you were doing. It was a concerted effort. There was a lot of dog whistling that was purposely put into it, with the understanding of why that was so. And we're supposed to be okay with it. You're calling these young girls dirty debutantes. Pretty much calling them sluts. And all this other nonsense. We're supposed to be okay with that? I find no way to be okay with that. If that was my daughter especially, and you have this to say about it, you're going to have to see me personally. Because that enough is enough. That's disgusting. It's despicable. It's just not acceptable. And we all need to see it that way. We all should be furious about this. And it's not up for me to say how you should feel about it. But I'm just saying, with what they're doing, it's unacceptable. And they need to answer for this. And they need to make amends for this. Apology is not enough. Amends to such a degree where now you're putting money back into that women's program, that LSU program. You need to start supporting them. Okay? You need to truly make amends, and let's make it hurt. Let's make it financial. Let's put it where your money is. Put your mouth where your money is now. You spoke up and said a whole lot of things. Put your money up now. Put your money into it. Now go support that program, which you said was evil. There's a lot of people that say they don't like LSU. Now, I get that. You know, someone has to play the villain, and that's fine. LSU was okay playing the villain, okay? But you might villainize their play, and you might not like how they play, but don't villainize the individuals. Look at how Larry Bird played. But no one villainized Larry Bird. Larry Bird was one of the most trash-talking, heartless dudes that was out there. He wanted to rip your heart out when he's playing basketball. And I look at it, Caitlin Clark. Is Caitlin Clark an angel? No. She's a basketball player. She's a competitor. And in her competitive fervor, she's a monster. She's a beast. She unleashes out there. And you see it. But you don't look at it as if she's less than human. You don't look at it as if, oh, we need to be protected against her. You don't look at it and say, I hate her. I can't stand how she plays the game. Even though her own father and coaches have to talk to her about her demeanor, about her body language, about the things that she says at times. Because she's a competitor, so she does go overboard, right? She's granted that privilege of being looked at and being able to say, oh, we give her the benefit of the doubt. And I'm not saying anything against her. She's a great player, great competitor, and she should be allowed to be that. Because sometimes in that spirit of competition, you're going to go too far. Now, no one's being killed. No one's being destroyed. You're just playing basketball, right? And you're going to be over-competitive at times. That's just how it goes. But that same grace and understanding should be granted to others as well, such as the LSU team. And when you look at them and how they compete, Angel Reese having 17 points and 20 rebounds and doing it on a bum ankle as well. That's a phenomenal competitor, and she's got to do whatever she needs to do to get herself and her mind in the frame to compete. So, yeah, you're going to talk some trash. Yeah, some people aren't going to like you. But just like Larry Bird said, he's like, I couldn't be Magic Johnson. I couldn't smile in your face and rip your heart out. He's like, so I had to be the guy that you didn't like. I was out there talking my trash. I was out there doing the things I needed to do to get myself to where I needed to be to compete at the level that I needed to compete at to be the best that I possibly could be. And that's all it is. It's just sports. You're taking something that should be fun, that should be enjoyable, and you're turning it into this whole race relations type nonsense. And you know, when you see Caitlin Clark herself, and you ask her, if you were to ask her something about this, just like they asked her if it was a revenge game when they were playing against LSU. She said, no, I don't have anything against LSU. She's like, they're just the next team in our way. That's a competitor. That's what you're supposed to say, right? And she also understands that at some point, she's going to the WNBA next year. She's going to be playing against players that look like Angel Reese. That might act like her as well, to some degree. Angel Reese is young. So she still has a lot of growing, just like Caitlin Clark is young and has a lot of growing to do as well. But you understand, especially in sports, if you're playing it at the highest level in most sports, outside of maybe hockey or some things like that, you're going to be playing against players of different nationalities, different skin colors, and so forth. They're going to be your teammates. They're going to be people that you play against. It's not like in Iowa where just about almost all your teammates could be white. You go somewhere else, WNBA, that's typically not going to be the situation. There's going to be a lot more diversity there. And some of the best players on a team are going to look different than what you do. You might not be the best. Once you get there, maybe you are. But other players that are comparable or close to you aren't going to look like you. And if you're a pure competitor and athlete, you understand that. You're okay with it. You don't have a problem with it. Just these other knuckleheads that are out in the media trying to write these narratives that create problems. Stop denigrating our black women. Stop it. Just stop. Enough is enough is enough. Just stop. It's ridiculous. It's wrong. And if you want to talk about good versus evil, put yourself into the evil column, because what you're doing is evil. It's downright despicable. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Not only, matter of fact, I don't even care if you're ashamed of yourselves, even though you should be. Pony up. Pony up the money, pony up the support now into LSU's program. That's the only way to me you can even begin to start to make amends, because you really don't care. If you cared, you wouldn't have gone in that direction in the first place. And whoever came up with calling them dirty debutantes and all this other, they should be gone. they should be gone. And other people might say, well, I don't call for anyone to lose their job. You know what you were doing. You knew what you were doing at that point and what you were calling them and the references that were being made. So how can we then be okay with that? How can we say that's all right? How can we say there's not an issue with that when there clearly is? There clearly is. At some point, if we're going to be who we say we are, we have to stand up and say no more of this nonsense. If you're going to write something, if you're going to come out, then make it balanced, make it fair, make it be what journalism was supposed to be. I don't know if it's ever been that, but I know there's instances where it's better than this, right? Much better than this. So I personally just enjoyed watching the game. I enjoyed watching these kids out there compete, giving their all, giving their best. I enjoyed Caitlin Clark just going out there and just single-handedly seeming to dismantle them. I enjoyed in the first half Angel Reese coming out and being able to stand guard for her team until she couldn't after the ankle injury. But I still enjoyed the fervor and the fight that the two teams gave. Right? They gave their best. They gave their all. They gave us one hell of a show. Let's respect that. Let's appreciate it. Let's say thank you. Thank you. Thank you, athletes. Thank you, competitors. Thank you, warriors, for the work that you did out there. Let's leave all the other nonsense out of it. It doesn't need to be involved. There's no good versus evil. Whenever throughout sports, it's the oldest narrative ever. Whenever you have a team that's mostly white or all white versus a team that's mostly black or all black, here we go. Good versus evil. We have to show that we can still be dominant. Whoever wins this wins the war on races. Whoever wins this, they show which race is really the more superior race. It's a bunch of knots. It's just a basketball game, everybody. It's just it is just a basketball game. Let these women go out and compete. Let them go out and have fun. Let them go out and enjoy themselves, right? There is no, I can tell you this, there is no, especially when it comes to competitors, athletes, there are no angels out there, okay? They all got some devilish things about them, especially if they're competing at that high of a level. You know, their fervor, their passion, it's going to show through, okay? You might not see it, but behind the scenes, I can tell you there's a lot of things going on where there's no one sitting there being an angel. Okay, that's just not how these things work. It's just not. You're more willing to forgive one group of competitors over another group of competitors because maybe you can identify with one group more. Maybe one group scares you. I don't know. But you obviously have a problem with one group over the other. But outside of that, my friends, there is no all this other imagined nonsense. It's just imagined nonsense. Why can't there just be a phenomenal game and that be the storyline? The storyline that, last year this is a team this is a team that's the reigning champions, and last year this was a team that knocked them out, that knocked Iowa out of the playoffs. This was the team that if Iowa is going to succeed, this is going to be a major obstacle and hurdle in their success. This is the game that's going to determine a lot when it comes to the Final Four. Like, build those kinds of narratives. Narratives we can appreciate, that we can respect, that we can enjoy, that we can watch that have nothing to do with all this other nonsense, race and everything else. It has nothing to do with that. If anything, it just shows, the LSU team is just as capable and competent as, a different type of team. Now, that might be all white, but again, it's sports. Let them go be competitors. Let them go be warriors on the court, and let them be hopefully good, decent human beings off the court. You might look at the style of LSU and believe that because they play a certain style, they're more physical. But all the games in the women's tournament have been more physical. And that doesn't make them bad people. It just makes them, that's the kind of competitors that they are, right? So let's start with these destructive narratives that are really harming the game and harming the individuals within the game. Let's allow these young women to rise up, entertain us just like the men do, and put on one hell of a show, because it was one hell of a show. I'm glad that I got to see it, and I'm looking forward to the future and for all this to continue and grow and get even better and be even more supportive. I'm looking for that WNBA to, when it first came out and I was watching as a kid in the 90s, I loved watching the games. I loved watching Swoops and Coop dominate. Loved watching Houston and the titles that they won. I'm like, this is amazing. This is phenomenal. I love the game. And I just want to be able to get back to that. Just loving the game. Because the game that they're starting to put on now, I mean, it's phenomenal. It's even better. At times, it's better than the men's game. As far as the NCAA. But it can be just as good, some of the games even better, for all of us to enjoy. So if I can give a message, that's a message that I want to give out. This is the ish that needs to be said, not what you want to hear, not the nonsense and the lies that are being put out, but the ish that needs to be said. And it's not acceptable anymore. It's not acceptable to degrade these young women just because of the color of their skin. If you don't like the style of their play, it's sports. Teams play that way. Okay. Teams play that way because that's their edge and that's their advantage. If they can be physical, they can be intimidating. And if you got someone like Caitlin Clark that's shooting the lights out the ball, shooting you to death with the three-pointers, you're going to have to get into her head somewhere or the other. Last night, they weren't really able to accomplish that, so she just bombs away. 41 points. Good night. It's over. And I don't look at it, me personally, as a black person, I don't look at it like that, man. Wow. What does that say about us as black people? We can't even beat this little white girl. I don't say that kind of nonsense. It's ridiculous. I look at it and say, there's a baller. There's a competitor. There's someone whose game I respect, I appreciate, I watch, and I love watching. I don't know how she's a kid. I don't know how she is as a person. Hopefully she's a good person. Hopefully she grows up, and as she continues to mature, she matures into a good, decent human being, just like I hope for any athlete and for my own children. And beyond that, color of the skin really doesn't matter. It shouldn't anyway. In the world, it does. Especially when it comes to advertising and everything else, it does matter in different ways. But still, when it comes to the purity of the game, just bring some flavor to it. Whatever your color of your skin is, just bring that flavor to you, flavor to the game. And people are going to respect and appreciate you for it. So all the women that are out there, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, everyone else, the South Carolina team, who we have someone that's from Beverly, Massachusetts, that's on the staff there. So Cam, keep doing your thing. We're proud of you. Proud of you. We love you. We're proud of you. Keep rocking and rolling. Dawn Staley is from, one of Philly's own, from Pennsylvania as well. So I always put on for my Pennsylvania folk. We got to support each other. So, and my father's family is from South Carolina. So I root for them. I put on for them. And I just love what they're doing right now with the women's game. I love what Caitlin Clark's doing in Iowa, what LSU is doing, and their competitive fervor and how they bring it each and every game. I just love the state of the game right now, and I appreciate and I respect it. So I hope everyone else can bring that same flavor and love to it as well. So everybody, stop the nonsense. 2024, we're well beyond the bull that's being talked about. All right. So people need to be made to pay for the nonsense that they've been saying. And let's move on and let's put out the true essence of the game and what that's about in the hearts of these players, because that's what we should be talking about and focused on, because it's a beautiful, wonderful, amazing thing. It's great for the game and it's great for the spirit of humanity. So let's rock and roll, my friends. Enjoy the Final Four and what's coming up. Enjoy the beauty of the game, men's and women. And let's live this thing called life to the fullest. This is Dominic Copeland. The ish that needs to be said. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. I'll be back soon with some more great episodes as we continue to build and grow this beautiful, wonderful community of ours. God bless you, my friends. Rock and roll. Talk to you soon.